Dear friends, welcome to my video. In this video, I show you how to save the edit text. Like whenever you are editing a text in your text view, text box, bold, italics, underline, how to save it in any database like SQLite database. So let's begin. We'll create a simple layout, and in the meantime, when this is coming up, I'll also try to show you. I will also like to show you that I have already created a page where it shows how to where I'll show how to uh, I think this is not the correct one. Sorry, I think the correct one is this one. Yeah, how to create your own text editor. So I'll be using the code from this particular page, the basic code, and I'll build on top of this code to implement the SQLite database functionality. So for the timing, I'll minimize it and go ahead with my project creation. I'll keep empty activity, and name of this app could be save edit text in SQLite. I'm not sure. I think text SQLite database. Perfect. And rest of the settings, I'll leave it as it is and click finish and wait for my Android Studio environment to load. Once the environment loads up, this kind of window will come up. And before I proceed, I'll again go back to that page which I have created, and I think I will use most of this code as it is to save my time to recreate everything from scratch. So I can see in the dependencies we don't need anything. The only thing probably we may need is of course the layout code, because we will get the ready-made this kind of layout, and most likely the Java code, of course. That's what I'm planning. I'm just scrolling to quickly check if I need anything else. No, it doesn't looks like. But before I start copying the code from here, I'll go to my environment, and over here probably at least what I will do is I will insert the read and write permission to the external storage. So I'm not sure if we really need this, but it's always better, because in case later on we are trying to write to any particular file or something, we may need it. Okay, so apart from this, I think I'll go to the Java code now, which is this one, and I'll start copying the code from the my portal. It's pretty easy, of course, because everything is ready-made over there. I'll just copy directly from here um, until the last part. We will have to do lots of editing just for your information, but still it will save a lot of time for us. There will be lots of this kind of error where if you press alt enter, it will automatically import that particular class required. So if I go up, I think it's this particular class. If I put it here, and okay, so this is id which is yet to be done. Okay, so for the timing, I'll ignore the some of the other. No, if I can do it quickly, let me see. Yeah, so most of the things are done, only this id is missing, which is basically coming from my layout. So I go to the layout, and over here what I will do is I'll just directly go to the code part, and again I'll just copy paste the complete code over here. It will save a lot of time for me again, and I just copy it everything, control C, come back here and control V. That's all. There are lots of resource. I think resource file also I have given over here, or probably no problem. I can just quickly create the resource over here. So these are like if I scroll up from top, you just press alt enter and create resource, and over here this is a type text here. Okay, similarly the next one would be I think bold. Next one would be italics. Next would be underline. Yeah, so little bit of work is required before we can proceed with our current video. Formatting, okay, and then left, center, and right. That's it. So left, center, right. So once I have done this, I think I'll quickly go to the design view to see everything looks good or not. Yeah, everything looks good as it was expected. Only for this button bold, probably I can just make it a little bigger, and everything looks good now. No error, nothing. And if I go back to my Java code, this is also resolved. This particular ID which was giving error because this particular box or widget has the same ID. From layout perspective, I think more or less we are done. Only thing is we may need one more button to fetch the information from database. So we'll create a SQLite database, and we'll store or insert the data whenever any of these buttons are clicked or for alignment or whatever the editing. But we'll create a separate button which will fetch from database. I'll just keep fetch, of course, but yeah, there could be different triggers, but we'll keep this one. And I'll quickly go to my Java code and create a particular public method for this particular fetch button. Public void button fetch view. I come back to my layout to associate this particular button on click attribute button fetch. Okay, I go back to Java code. Yeah, I think more or less from layout perspective we are done. So now I'll go to the Java code and start my coding. But before that, since we need an SQLite database, so I think what we'll need is a class for SQLite database helper. So that is not here, and that's what I mean. I was referring to another page just at the start, and that's what we'll refer at this particular in this particular page. There are lots of other videos as well on my channel. You can watch anyone, but I think I'll refer to this page to quickly create a class for SQLite database handler, and just right click over here, new Java class. You can name anything, but I'll probably keep the same name. Extends, and what we're going to extend is SQLite open helper. That's it. So once you have done it, of course, it should import the right libraries, and then there are a few errors which we have to solve. One is whether we want to make it abstract or implement methods. Please go with implement methods. It will implement the required methods, and also I think now we need constructors to be implemented. You can use the first one, and that's all. Now we'll be using this particular database handler in our Java code to create our SQLite database. So what we'll need is we'll create a couple of class variables for our SQLite database handler, which is basically, I think I can use this mySqliteDBHandler, and I can just name it as sqLiteDBHandler, and the other one will be SQLite database. And this database will be to capture the attributes of this editing part. So I'll just name attributes or edit attributes. Name doesn't matter, but just I make sure that name reflects what we are trying to do here. In the onCreate method, the first and foremost what we can do is we if you recall in the manifest file, we have asked for read and write permission. So we'll make sure that we get that permission from the user as well for this read and write. So this could be for this particular thing, and the new string, and the first method could be manifest dot permission dot write external storage, and then the second one could be manifest dot permission dot read external storage. That's all. And then package manager grant permission. Yeah, perfect. So this line will be responsible to seek from user the permission to read or write to the database. Now we can start creating our database. So for that, it's always advisable to keep it in a try catch, because as I have explained in my other videos as well, once you create a database, and if it's already created, and if you try to recreate, it may give you problems. And anyway, you are calling this code in your own create method, so it will always be called whenever the app starts. So it's always good to handle it in try catch. Anyway, so I will just create a new I'll just create this object. So I'll just new, and then I can create probably the database handler, and the arguments could be context will be of course this, So this will match the constructor what we have defined there. So we'll just use here. And the second one is, I think, the string name, which is nothing but the database name. So you can give it anything. Again, I'll say edit text database. You can name it anything. I will repeat. The third is also, this one is nullable, and this is cursor factory, but we'll just put it null. And the fourth one is version. So any numbers you can give just for your personal identification. And there is some error here coming because I think I wrongly use yeah, this is the correct variable SQLite database. Over here also what I can do is I can just print this exception. Now we will assign, or we'll create our SQLite database. No, not this one. SQLite database attributes using the handler what we have just now created above dot get writable database. Yeah. So this line number 35 will get me the handle, and then it will create a database with a writable database handle to this particular variable over here. Now we can create our table in this particular database. So what we can do is we can do this SQLite and then execute the SQL, and we can give the SQL in string form. So those who doesn't know SQL is pretty simple. You can do a search, but it's very simple. So create table, table name, and table name again you can give anything. So say for example edited what text attributes, and then arguments you have to give in brackets. So the first argument could be edit style. So okay, I think I should have given it in no, I think edit style, and then the if you know the SQL syntax. So first is the name of the particular column and the data type. So data type is text. What else we will need? Probably after edit text we'll need something like selection start. We'll see this argument, or if you can if I can quickly scroll down, I can tell you. So basically the first argument is this one, the whether it's italics or bold or whatever, and then the a start index and the end index. So these are the three attributes which we need. So selection start, and that will be probably integer form, and the third could be selection end. So type this correctly. These are the actually the name of the columns which will get created in your database. Okay. Yeah. So I think more or less this line will create our table with this table name, and 1, 2, 3, three particular columns with this particular types, integer and text. Once we have created this, if you want to keep the database information available across the versions, across the run of the apps, then that's fine. If not, which I don't want to do because of this, in this demo I would like to show you always the fresh information. So what I'll do is in each run I'll also delete if there is anything which exists previously. Then what I'll do is I'll delete the this particular table. So I'll just Control C, Control V, and I'll delete it. So and then the second argument could be, I think, null. What else? Where clause and argument. So I'm not giving any. I'm just doing the complete deletion of any records which are entered in this particular database. So that's all. So before I come into the button fetch, I will also create another method called public, or probably I'll make it private. We don't need to expose it to some other outside of the class. I'll make it private, and what it will do is it will insert attributes in the database, and the arguments it will need is these three arguments. So one is the text, and then two are the integers. So of course the text gets changed into string, a style name, and integer, or I can put the small int, and this can be int selection start, and the third could be again int and int selection end. So these are the index which we'll get from in this method. And once we have it, then we'll just create content values, new content values. Perfect. And now we'll put one by one the content values above from above. So first one will be, of course, over here, the edit style. So these are the kind of arguments which will pass to this particular while inserting. So, and this will be the value. Control V. Similarly, content values dot put, and then the second argument would be selection start, and I'll put this. Control C. Content values dot put, and the third one will be selection end. Make sure the names are correct, because this is not in Java. This will go in SQL within the database, and there will be no way to track whether the spelling mistakes are there or there is some syntactical error. So try to be very careful over here, whatever you type here. Okay, there is something here is given, type in typo, but I think as long as this and this matches, that should be fine. I think to avoid that, what we can do is we can change both places as capital S, then that should be fine. But make sure Control C, Control F. Yeah, okay, both are same. Anyway, so once your content values are created, what else we can do is we can quickly insert this in this particular database, and the first information will be the table name, and the table name we have to give it in string format. Control C, Control V. The second information will be null column hack, so we'll keep it null. We don't want in any particular columns, and the order of the columns, and then third will be content values, whatever we have created just now. So that's all. And now we'll be calling this insert this particular method from our each and every whenever we do any operation. Say for example we do bold or italics, we'll call this particular method from there. So Control C, and over here Control V, and the first one will be the style name. So this we may have to hard code, because when your button bold is placed, then bold should be passed. Selection start will be nothing but this edit text dot get selection start, and the third one will be edit text dot get selection end. Perfect. So I think we can reuse this. Control C. We can reuse it for italics as well, and over here instead of bold, italic. Yeah, make sure this is correct, because we will be using this while scanning our entries into the database. Third will be underline, so same thing we can use over here as well. The only thing is instead of bold we'll underline. Okay, and no format, will leave it as it is. No, this is for alignment. So for alignment there is left, right, and whatever center. So for left we can leave it left, and there is no start and end over during that time, so we can just put it like this. Then if I go further down, probably I'll just copy paste this time this one. Control X, and I think I should have done it after this. Yeah, because once you set the text into the edit text this panel string, may just delete every information, but yeah, so it's better to pass the information in the database before that, although it won't have mattered for this particular method, but just to avoid any or to keep homogeneity, and this one will be right. So that's all from our insert part. And now the main method, which is the fetch will be an interesting method. Let's see. So first and foremost we have to query everything using again SQL. So we will make a string SQL query, you can name this anything, and this will be of course select star from table name, and table name is nothing but this one. Control C, Control V. Yeah, if you have to pass any arguments then okay, but I think here we are anyway trying to scan everything which is stored in the table and get it in our cursor. So you have to send cursor, and then we can put our database, which is this one, and then row query, and we can run this. The first one is the SQL, so we already have that string, and the second one is the arguments what we have to pass. So we will not pass any arguments. We are planning to anyways scan or query all the entries into the database. Now we will start fetching one by one, but I think I will prefer to encapsulate it within try catch as usual, and we could have brought those two also within try catch, but that's fine. Okay, and within try catch, first and foremost what I'll do is I'll move the cursor, move to the not next but first, because we'll start from the top or from the first entry, and then over here what we need to do is we'll one by one, once our cursor fetches, so we can run it into a while loop until the cursor is null or basically not null. So okay, that's a little tricky part, but I'll change it to the inverse, and at the end of this while loop we should do move to next so that it iterates. So this will fetch information each time, and we have to make sure that the edited text is converted as we are doing it in this method. So I think we can copy paste the code from here, Control C, and put it here, Control V, and also I think at the end we have to set it this edit text. So I will most likely put it somewhere after while loop, of course, because we can set it in one shot. Spanner string is having a problem, so what we can do is we can in fact move it outside Control X of while loop, so that this spannable string is available below as well. Okay, so once in this while loop, what we'll do is once we have to set this, but we have to set it based on certain condition, which is basically coming from cursor. And say for example, if cursor dot string, which is basically the first argument in this particular table, the editor style. So if this is equal to, or rather than using if else, what we can do is we can quickly put switch case, switch, and I bring it here. Okay, the case is not coming up. I think there's some mistake. I think it shouldn't be capital. Yes, that sounds good. And if I come here now and case one by one we can check. So there are like 5 or 6 cases if I'm not wrong. The first one is whether it is bold. The second one, I think I can just copy paste this one, Control C, Control V, and italics, underline, left, center, right. The other 6 cases I think what we have used. So I'll just make sure you write the correct spelling what you have written below. Hopefully I'm left, and okay, I think italics, and the other one was underline. I will just quickly scroll below to check whether everything looks same. So here's bold. Please note here it's italic, and I have used italics, so that's not correct. I should have used italic. Then underline is fine. Left, center, and right. Correct. So this spelling doesn't matter, but it should be match exactly what you have done below. Okay, and once we have it, then I think what we'll need is we need to set this Control X, Control V over here one by one. But what we'll need is we'll need all these 3 information, not from, okay, I think the first information is fine because that's coming from here, but this start and end information should also come from our database. So basically what we can do is we can create 2 variables, int selection start, and this is nothing but cursor dot get int, and first, this is the first argument. I think in fact second argument, but of course in an array it will be the first after 0. Yeah, and I'll create selection end, and this will be nothing but cursor dot get int second. Perfect. And now what we can do is we can use this over here. So after int selection start comma int selection end, and I think that should be good. The second one will be okay. There are two commas. That's why there is some error coming up, but no looks good to me. Yes. So I think this will set my spannable string, and this will then break it, and it will go down to move next and keep setting. Or probably what I can do, I can control X. I can pull it over also over here so that it immediately set my edit text for that particular editing, whatever it is done. So same thing, I think I'll need for others also. So I'll just copy paste this part of the code. Control C. So this goes same at least for italics as far as I know, and also for underline. The only difference will be for italics, it will change to italic, and for underline, I don't think we have to do this. We have to just simply do new underline span. Yes. And no, for alignment, centered and all, it's a little different. If I scroll down quickly, so what we will see is it just sets the alignment. It doesn't has that start or end and all those things. We don't need it. We just need to set the alignment here. So we can use this directly. Control C, and this is for right, which is basically the end, text end. And if I scroll up back to our code, so for right, this is what I have to do. Similarly for center, I'm not sure what it is. I'll come to that later. And left is I think the start, if I'm not wrong. And for center, I think there should be something called center. Let me see. Text alignment center. Yeah, perfect. And once we have done the text alignment, I think we can just set it back. That's it, is what I guess. So now I think yeah, this will be responsible for moving to next one by one. This is for while loop. Yeah, and I think then we can at the end we can close our cursor if everything is fine over here. So that's all. I think yeah, this method is a little long, but it's not that difficult. Most of the code is same, and you can in fact create separate methods to call this. You should not do most of the codings here. It's not a very standard practice, but nevertheless, for this demo, I just wanted to quickly show you a very brute way that we can do lots of stuff in very quickly. So let my emulator come up. In the meantime, I'll just do some cleanup. Perfect. So yeah. Anyway, it's taking time for my emulator to also load. But in the meantime, I'll just keep doing the cleanup. Yeah, so if you notice, right hand side the emulator has come up and it's asking for permission to access external things. So I'm not sure if we really require it, but I think this is giving for line number 34, 35, whatever we have code here. Do allow, that's better. So now let's test our program. So I'm just typing something random sample program, and what I'll do is I'll just make it bold, and I assume that the moment I press bold, this particular method would have called because we have used this method in each and every of this particular button, so it will be creating called, and this particular once the insert attribute is called, the particular attributes are getting loaded into the database. So if I clean it up by clicking no formatting, which is basically going back to no formatting, and click fetch, which is basically fetching the information now from database, if you can see it's very clean. So I'll just rerun it once again, and why I'm rerunning it is to show that since in line number 48 we are deleting, so that same information won't have been captured. So this time I will use probably a little longer the text. So this is programmer, but most likely I'll do one thing. Wait, in no formatting, I think I'm not resetting the text alignment. So this is that method. So what I can also do is here I should set this text alignment. Control C, Control V before setting the strings, and I'll rerun it. Sorry about that. This line was important. because I will also like to show you this left center alignment part. Okay, now I'll type some text. So this is programmer world, writing simple text for demonstration. And now I will probably select sample text. I'll just select till this part, make it bold. I'll make probably programmer world also. I'll select and make this bold and underline. No, I think I should have selected it again to make it underline. Sorry about that. Underline. And what else? And probably demonstration, I'll make it italics. Okay, so I assume all this information is gone there, and also I'll make it right align. And now I click on no formatting and I click on fetch. So if you notice, all this information is saved in some form, of course in the database, in SQLite database. And even if you clean up the formatting just by click of a button, it fetches everything back. So that's all. Of course, this is a very simple code which I have written in your actual text editor. You have to do lots of stuff. You have to check, you have to save the text also in a separate database, and you have to then set the alignment with respect to the text. So lots of stuff are there, but I just quickly wanted to show you how easy it is to just save all this information in a database. As a, you can tell this information as a metadata for this particular database, and that's all. So I hope this video is useful to you. If you have any questions or suggestions, then please put in the comment section. And if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel.